What's up guys, Nilbez here, and today I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different to what I've been doing on my channel so far. So it's actually something I've been meaning to do for quite some time. It's something I actually planned on starting up before I even kickstarted my channel with all my Dead by Daylight content a couple months ago. So I am actually planning to make this a series on my channel, so I hope you like it. I'm going to be talking about the first license of this series. And these licenses, they can be anything amongst from films, series, video games, books, fiction, even real life characters. So I will be discussing what the survivor or survivors would be, the killer, the map, but yet there are countless different licenses that could come to Dead by Daylight. There is a very, very long list of licenses that could work. But they're obviously not going to be able to do all of them. You know, they're getting out maybe two licenses a year. There's already quite a big roster of characters. So realistically, you don't want it to be too huge. Otherwise, your favourite killers and survivors would actually not really show face. But we're not going to be focusing too much on that. We're going to be focusing on how it would work in Dead by Daylight and what each thing would be in each scenario. Now, without any further ado, let's just get straight into it. So you may have guessed from the thumbnail that the license I'm going to be talking about today is none other than Shaun of the Dead. Now, I get it guys, it's not your traditional horror movie, it is actually a comedy horror movie. Actually based off of a horror movie from 1978 called Dawn of the Dead, which I didn't realise was actually a really big hit. I thought Shaun of the Dead was far more successful. I did a little bit of digging. Turns out Dawn of the Dead grossed 66 million profit, whereas Shaun of the Dead, they grossed 29 million profit. So yeah, that actually took me by quite a surprise. I knew Shaun of the Dead was successful. Ask anyone and they've seen it, from my experience at least. Maybe it's a little bit more popular in Britain. It is a British movie, but yeah, it's very popular over here, and I know people overseas in America and a few other places that love the film. So it's a very popular film. So it took me by surprise to find that a movie in 1978 that it's based from made twice as much profit. Now, Shaun of the Dead, I think, would work very well in Dead by Daylight. The movie itself, it was directed very well, it's very memorable. There's moments that happen in different ways but are all interconnected throughout the movie. Out of those comedies, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost movies, Hot Fuzz is marginally my favourite over Shaun of the Dead. But if we do get Shaun into the game, we may be able to get Sergeant Angel as a skin. Now, if I haven't made it painfully obvious already, my choice of survivor would obviously be Shaun. His name is in the title. He is the main protagonist in the movie. Perhaps even with a Ed legendary reskin, we don't have a big stocky build for a survivor yet. Jane's thick, Jeff's got a bit of a belly, but we don't have a big character yet. Ed is quite a big guy, so it would be interesting. I think, you know, I'm all up for it, all of the different body shapes and everything. We haven't seen it, so I'm not sure if they would go for that. But I think it would be quite cool if they did get Ed in as well, as a legendary reskin. But my survivor of choice is Shaun. But they could do a like Resident Evil Stranger Things types licensed DLC where they bring in two survivors. But the problem here with the Shaun of the Dead license would be the killer. Now, there are several choices, none of which I feel would be anywhere close to as strong as the survivor choice. Now, I love this movie, but it definitely has ways it wouldn't work entirely in Dead by Daylight. I feel Shaun would be a great survivor, but the problem is with the map and the killers. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, obviously it would be the Winchester for the map. Yeah, no, it would obviously be the Winchester. That's not the main problem. The main problem is the killer. So the killer would either be one of two characters. It would either be Pete or Philip. But at the end of the day, there's zombies. One of the killers in the game already has zombies. It's literally just a little side to their power. I mean, I don't feel a zombie killer would really work realistically in the game unless it was some kind of horde of zombie power, but I don't know about that. It would be very different to what we have already, and I don't think that would really work in the same way. It would be too different. So I think if they did bring this license to the game, it would be like Ash versus the Evil Dead. It would be just Shaun. It would be Shaun, solo survivor, probably not have a map because he'd be the only one coming to the game. But if they were to have a map, obviously it would be the Winchester. Incorporated with maybe the back gardens of some of the houses that are iconic with the trampoline and the fences. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's not fair to not give Ash Williams a map, but to give Shaun one. But they could give Shaun a pretty iconic map for sure. Now, I actually have 4 ideas for perks for Shaun. So I know survivors only have 3 teachable perks, but I thought of 4. I didn't really want to throw any of them away. One of them is a bit unique compared to other perks already in the game, but I feel like it could work. I just think it's very interesting. So here it goes. So perk 1, to the Winchester. Your mind is set on where you need to be, anxious to get there. You open exit gates 10, 12, 14% faster at a rate of 50, 60, 70% quieter. So as a killer, I mean, I'm kind of 50-50 survivor killer. As a killer, I more look for the red flashy light than the noise. It is a very loud noise, but the flashy light you can see from a further distance. So I don't think this perk will be overly strong. I think it will be useful if you're maybe the only one left alive, the killer's closed the hatch, and maybe say you open one exit gate, one bulb, and then you go away and open the other one slightly faster and trick them. I think this would be quite a good perk. I think it will have its place. I don't think it will be meta. I just think it would be a fairly decent perk. But yeah, that's probably the most playing out of the 4. The next perk is it's on random. Now with this perk, once you've completed 70, 60, 50% of a generator, you'll get an action button, and if you press it, it will prompt a loud noise notification on a random generator on the opposite side of the map. Now, this will go off every 30 seconds if the killer doesn't kick it. So it will keep making the annoying noise if the killer doesn't kick it. And the music that will play will be distorted karaoke machine music, and it will be either the Queen song or I can't think what the other song is, the love song in the actual movie. So it's the 2 movie songs. It's the 2 songs in the actual movie that play on the karaoke machine. So Don't Stop Me Now and Something About Needing You Now, a love song, I can't think what it's called. So it will play on random, one of those 2 songs on random. So the third perk is shortcut. What's the matter, David? Never taken a shortcut before. So with this one, when you fast vault during a chase, you gain the endurance effect for 12 seconds. And it will also show you all of the closest vault locations within 24 feet, 28, and 32. Now I don't remember if they use meters or feet. I think they actually use meters. So it would be 24 meters, 28 meters, and then 32 meters. I've actually written down that it has 120, 110, 100 second cooldown, and when it's on cooldown, you can't benefit from endurance effects. Having said that, I think a better change to that would be that if you actually vault in chase when you've still got the endurance from borrowed time up, then it doesn't do it. It shows you the vault locations, but it doesn't stack with borrowed time, so that it's not overpowered. So I think what might be better actually is you can't benefit from the endurance effect that it grants when vaulting and chase if you've benefited from an endurance effect in the last 30 seconds, or something like that. Now, this is the fourth and final perk, the one that I said was a bit unique. It's a bit different to most perks, but I thought I'd give it a go. I think this sounds quite cool. So it's called the Greater Good.
It's all about the greater good.
The greater good.
So it starts off saying in quotes, "Sorry, Philip." So once per game, you can hit another injured survivor with your trusty cricket bat, downing them with 50, 60, 70% recovery. This effect, this perk, if you use it on another survivor, it will also leave them with the unbreakable effect on that said downed survivor. And for all intents and purposes, this survivor is now dead to the killer at this time, and their aura and scratch marks are hidden for 80, 100, 120 seconds. So you down one of your allies with your cricket bat, they're mostly recovered and can get themselves back up after, say, 10 seconds, maybe a bit less. And then their scratch marks and aura is hidden for 2 minutes at final perk. So that could be quite strong, actually. It's funny because it sounds like a very punishing perk, but the fact that it would leave the unbreakable effect on you when this perk is used on you is what I think makes this perk overall quite strong. Now, if they had to heal you back up, then it might be a very, is that really that great? Because if the killer comes around the corner, they're just going to bail. But it leaves you with the unbreakable effect, and then your scratch marks and aura is hidden for 2 minutes. So I think this is quite cool. The idea of getting out a cricket bat and hitting someone as well is really fun. So just though this perk wouldn't be abused and used as a troll perk, or just only a troll perk, I mean, you can use it to troll a little bit, but you wouldn't be able to actually use this perk when you're inside the killer's terror radius, even if it's the lightest heartbeat. And if the survivor being hit doesn't interrupt the 3-second animation, it will work. So the said survivor can, they can't be interrupted for other actions like totems, generators, unhooks, healing. So they can't be interrupted, and also they can't interrupt your 3-second animation, and then it would all work. Now, with Ashley Williams having a voiceover, it leaves all the other survivors feeling a tiny bit bland to some degree. So I think it would be cool if they did continue to add just a couple of voiceovers per character. It could just be 1 or 2 very, very simple lines. But for instance, for Shaun, I've just written a few down. He could say stuff like, "We're going to the Winchester," or "What's the matter? Never taken a shortcut before," or "Sorry, Philip," or "Everything's gonna change, I promise." Or you could go down the more comedic route and have him say something like, "Oh, he's got an arm off." But yeah, no, it wouldn't feel immersive if you randomly just blurted that out. It would it would just be funny. It would be a bit silly. But no, that would be an idea as well. I haven't thought to come up with any perks for a killer because, like I mentioned earlier in this video, the 2 most likely killers would be either Pete or Philip, and neither of them posed as strong as a killer role as Shaun's Survivor role. So that did end up with me concluding that I believe that if he did ever come, it would be as a DLC chapter with just him as a solo survivor, much like Ashley Williams, which would also mean, unfortunately, they probably wouldn't end up doing anything with the map, which would clearly be the Winchester. So that is my final conclusion. I do believe that it would just be Shaun, so I'm not going to waste any time going into killer perks because they are just zombies at the end of the day. Even if they make the zombie as powerful as realistically they could, he still wouldn't be able to get away with some of the stuff the other killers are getting away with. So that concludes my Dead by Daylight Shaun of the Dead DLC chapter. So the survivor would be Shaun, possibly with a legendary reskin for Ed, maybe even the Hot Fuzz Sergeant Angel reskin, and they could actually have 2 of his skins at the beginning as well. So they could have his startup skin at the beginning of the movie, maybe his shirt being a bit ragged, And then they could also have him at the end of the film when he's got the bloody rag around his head and he's got all of these marks all over him and dirt all over him. So they could start up with those two. They could bring in a reskin for Ed potentially. Obviously, there'd have to be a little bit of wiggle room for the whole body size thing because Ed is a big guy. They haven't got a guy as big as Ed in it. So, and I don't know how the community would feel about that because he's quite big and you are running most of the trial. So, yeah, that one I would like, but might be a bit controversial. For the killer, it would obviously either be Pete or Philip, but I don't think they will be bringing in a killer. And the map would obviously be the Winchester with some of the back ends of the gardens that are so iconic, but I don't think they'll be bringing a map. So I do believe it would just be another Ashley Williams chapter style with Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. So that concludes my Dead by Daylight Shaun of the Dead licensed chapter video. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, smash that subscribe button, and if you're feeling awesome, give it a like and drop me a comment as well. Let me know what you thought about it, or potentially what other licenses you might want me to do a video for, because I do have some more planned in line after this. So I do have a handful that I want to do already. But if there is something that you really want to see, whether it's a game that comes to Dead by Daylight, a movie, even something from a book or fiction, let me know in the comment section below, and I very well might actually even do a video on it. But yeah, I again hope you enjoyed this, guys. Have a lovely rest of your day. Peace out, and I'll see you in the fog.